Warthog Defense reported about the killing of the Russian submarine commander in Krasnodar, but now we have new details. A Russian commander with an apparent habit of posting his running routes on social media has been shot dead while jogging in the city of Krasnodar. Stanislav Rzhitsky was the deputy head of the Department for Mobilization and, according to reports, a former commander of the Krasnodar submarine, which has been used to launch deadly missile strikes against Ukrainian cities. His death was first confirmed by Russia's state TASS news agency, which said a police investigation into the killing was underway. It's still unknown who killed him, but Ukraine's defense intelligence on Monday morning confirmed the shooting, and while they didn't take responsibility, they included a number of very specific details that only someone very familiar with the killing would know. In a post on Telegram, they wrote, Stanislav Rzhitsky, the former commander of the submarine Krasnodar of the Black Sea Fleet of the Russian Navy, was shot dead in Krasnodar, Russia. On July 10th, he jogged in the Krasnodar Park of Culture and Recreation named after the 30th anniversary of victory. Around 6 in the morning, 7 shots were fired at him from a Makarov pistol. As a result of gunshot wounds, Rzhitsky died on the spot. While that is very specific, did they say anything else? Yes, they even knew the weather at the time and are very confident the shooter got away unseen. They wrote, due to heavy rain, the park was deserted, so there are no witnesses who could provide details or identify the attacker. Later on Tuesday, the Russian FSB security services said a 64-year-old man was arrested on suspicion of carrying out the attack. This is where it gets even more interesting. The exercise app Strava, on which runners record their runs and compete online against other users, has a profile under the name of Stanislav Rzhitsky. Pictures posted on the account show a man with more than a passing resemblance to the Russian commander, and the last activity he posted was a cycle in the hills outside of Krasnodar on July 9th, the city where he was shot dead. The last run the account posted shows he ran close to Olymp Sports Complex, the exact location of the shooting. So someone was watching his runs? That is yet to be established, but there is an even more surreal twist to the story. One of only 4 accounts on Monday evening that had liked the post about Rzhitsky's last run shares the name of Major General Kirilo Budanov, the head of Ukraine's military intelligence. So it was Ukraine that assassinated Rzhitsky? We can neither confirm nor deny that Ukraine was behind the shooting, and it's highly unlikely that Kiev will publicly go beyond the statement already released by the GUR. In a statement reported by The Guardian later on Tuesday, Budanov said, statements by some media and politicians that the GUR has something to do with the death of Stanislav Rzhitsky have no basis. A Kiev-sanctioned assassination is certainly in the realm of possibility. Earlier this year, Budanov admitted Ukraine is behind the assassinations of prominent Russian propagandists, saying, "We've already successfully targeted quite a few people," the Times reported. "There have been well-publicized cases everyone knows about, thanks to the media coverage." Although Budanov did not specify exactly which individuals have been targeted, since the launch of Russia's full-scale invasion last year, several prominent pro-Kremlin figures have been killed or wounded on Russian territory. And that's not all. Russian Lieutenant General Oleg Yuryevich Tsokov was reportedly killed in an overnight attack by Ukrainian forces in the city of Berdyansk. The information was confirmed on the Telegram channel of the mayor of Mariupol, Peter Andriushchenko, and then by an advisor to the Minister of Internal Affairs of Ukraine, Anton Gerashchenko, on Twitter. Later, Andriushchenko suggested that this had been an attack against the Duna Hotel, which had been commandeered as accommodation for the Russian military leadership in the occupied town. According to local reports, cited by the mayor, the hotel was all but completely destroyed in spite of reports that anti-missile defenses were sited close to the building. Unconfirmed reports say the building may have been struck by a Storm Shadow missile. The Russian authorities have not yet confirmed the reports, and Kiev Post is not yet able to verify the incident. Locals report that almost nothing is left of the hotel, which is now cordoned off, while heavy equipment and ambulances are being used to remove debris and search for survivors. In September, Tsokov, who had taken over as the commander of the 144th Motorized Rifle Division of the 20th Combined Arms Army the month before in the rank of Major General, was reportedly injured in a Ukrainian artillery attack on his headquarters near Svatov, in the occupied region of Luhansk. He was then evacuated to St. Petersburg to be treated for a serious wound to his leg. It is not known when he returned to Ukraine, but according to some sources, he had been promoted to lieutenant general earlier in the year. While Russian authorities have yet to confirm his death, it was noted that his Russian Wikipedia page had been updated, with the announcement that he was killed by AFU terrorists near Berdyansk, Ukraine, on July 11, 2023. Sokov is a veteran of almost every war in which Russia has been involved, including the two Russian-Chechen wars and operations in Syria. He participated in Russia's 2014 invasion and received the so-called Medal for the Return of Crimea for his part in the occupation of the peninsula. Sokov was placed under Ukraine sanctions in October for his role in missile strikes against Ukrainian cities, then, in February this year, was added to the EU sanctions list for his participation in Russia's war of aggression against Ukraine. Estimates of the number of Russian generals killed following the full-scale invasion of Ukraine vary between 10 and 20, with Moscow not acknowledging any such losses. The Kremlin is willing to let Yevgeny Prigozhin's Wagner group keep some of its extensive operations in Africa, according to two people with knowledge of the discussions, as Russia scrambles to retain its influence in the resource-rich continent in the aftermath of his attempted mutiny. The deal includes Wagner's operations in the Central African Republic and has the support of President Vladimir Putin, one of the people said, asking not to be identified because the matter is sensitive. The agreement emerged as the Kremlin disclosed Monday that Putin held nearly 3 hours of talks with Prigozhin and Wagner commanders on June 29th, just 5 days after the unprecedented mutiny in Russia that threatened the president's nearly quarter-century rule. By building an army of thousands of guns for hire, Wagner has for years given the Kremlin a way to pursue its foreign policy in Africa on a shoestring, making inroads at the expense of the U.S. and former colonial power France, with the added bonus of deniability. As the U.S. tries to exploit the mutiny to dislodge the mercenary group from the continent, Russia is acting swiftly to safeguard those gains. Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov has scrambled to reassure African counterparts that Russia remains committed to a network of security partnerships, including the provision of military instructors in the Central African Republic, that were agreed as ties with former colonial power France soured. Later this month, Russia will reinforce its engagement by hosting its second Africa summit in St. Petersburg. But what Russia describes as military instructors, the U.S. says are Wagner operatives in combat roles. The Defense Ministry, bogged down in Ukraine and hampered by Western sanctions, isn't immediately in a position to take over Wagner's complex and often murky operations in Kar, and may also need the private contractors to achieve its foreign policy objectives in Sudan and elsewhere. Beyond Kar, Putin was assessing his options, but would likely end up leaving Wagner in charge of operations that pay for themselves while bringing activities more directly dependent on Moscow under its direct control, according to another person close to the Kremlin.
Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe. Also, if you want to support Warthog Defense, please become our member and get early access to new videos, exclusive members-only videos, and become administrator in comment section. The membership link is in the description.
Rescues every day. We had a guy last week at 6 rescues in 6 days. You know, he's doing the job every day.